Let's move on now to the second pillar of longevity. Now, if there's one thing that every single long-lived society had in common, it's this: they move around. Now, don't get scared by the word exercise. The long-lived societies probably don't even know what you're talking about if you ask them if they exercise. They didn't go to the gym. The Paleolithic ancestors, they just moved around 20 miles a day. They hauled carcasses back to the village. So they moved naturally in the course of their lives. The point is that we were meant to move. And if you look at longevity, and you really collapse into the basic DNA of the human species, what is it? Move, breathe, love, eat, move some more, connect with people, get some sun, sleep, relax. You know, it's the basics. So because of our lives, the nature of our lives, we have to fit these things in, these things that were so natural to our hunter-gatherer ancestors. We have to make a special effort to do them. The long-lived societies didn't have to do that. They just milked the cows, they herded the sheep, they hiked the trail, so they were just naturally getting this movement stuff into their lives. Then there's the question of what's the best way to do it. Now, I've been, for a long time, a big believer in high-intensity interval training. I think it's a more efficient way to work out. It's less time. You get more bang for the buck, you know. So I'm a big believer in that. And we'll talk a little bit about interval training and circuit training in a minute. But I want to give the props that are due to plain old walking, because there's a lot of research on what walking can do. There's a recent study by Arthur Kramer at the University of Michigan on simple walking, 30 minutes a day, moderate intensity, literally increases the size of the brain. It literally adds brain cells. Now that's a brand new finding that we didn't know about before. We knew it improved cognition and mental abilities, but we didn't know it actually grew gray matter. So that's a pretty dramatic finding. There's studies by Stephen Blair over at the Aerobics Institute in Texas. And Stephen Blair's a fat guy. I should tell you this. And so he's got a vested interest in it. He told me, he said, you know, I'm a fat guy who runs 20 miles a week and I ain't dying of a heart attack. Here's what he did. He put people on a treadmill and he put them in, 20% categories, like the lowest 20%. Then he put the moderate fitness, what he called moderate fitness, were people who scored in the middle 40%. And the top level were the people who scored in the top 20%. Now, I got to tell you that his bar for fitness was very, very low. It was like, you take all these people who go to Disneyland, all these people who don't work out, you put them on a treadmill. Well, the ones who lasted 5 minutes were the top 20%, and then the middle 40% and the bottom 20% couldn't do it at all. So it wasn't a very high bar. We're not talking Mr. Olympia. We're not talking the Olympics. We're not talking Michael Phelps and the swimming, 8 gold medals. We're not talking that. We're just talking about being able to survive a treadmill test for like 7 minutes. Well, the moderate fitness people, the people in the middle 40%, had half the death rate of the lowest 20%. The top level, that top 20%, people could manage on a treadmill for 6 or 7 minutes, 1/4 the death rate of the unfit at the bottom. That's just walking. So there's a lot to be done here, and there's a lot to be accomplished in terms of living long and living well.